Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach, and we are approaching the very, very end. I think I've said that now a few weeks in a row of the fall sports calendar. Some sports for our area teams and as a whole are completely done, and so we are getting down to the nitty gritty. I woke up, this morning, yesterday, getting a little colder outside. Getting a little closer to winter time, for some of us, for basketball fans, you might want to say, hey, let's start heading indoors. Practice is starting soon, early November. Those practices are going to get going for basketball and winter sports. We are approaching the last week of the regular season in football. Like I said, a lot of district tournaments are already sorted out in other sports. A lot of seasons are already over, like I said, as well. And so we're going to jump right in, talk about this big slate of football games we had this past week. Teams went 3-0 here in Cape County, so a very, very good week for our local squads. Some couple of very big, notable victories for different reasons, and then a ho-hum victory for another one of our area teams. I will start with Saxony Lutheran. I couldn't decide. Cape and Saxony, a couple of big wins, like I said, for different reasons. Saxony does knock off Massac County out of Metropolis, Illinois. 42-28 was the final score. Obviously notable mainly because that is the first ever game played at Saxony Lutheran High School. So congrats to Saxony. Shout out to you guys. Very cool. I have lived in Cape County now for majority of my life. And it's only been, Cape Jackson, which has been great. They've taken up all the oxygen in the room. They are a big school, big-time rivals. They played each other for 100 years or whatever. So, it's very, very fun, big thing to do. But having another team here to root for and talk about, obviously, on this show, is really neat for me. And it's been really cool kind of coming into this show for my first football season and getting to go along with Saxony as well in their first season. Before the game, they dedicated the stadium with the Bennett family, stadium officially named Bennett Memorial Stadium. So thank you to their family and for all they're doing for the program, getting things ready to roll. Nice looking field. Everything looks really nice. Scoreboard, the humongous Crusader inflatable tunnel. You can see it from Mars, I think. Grass turf looks nice. Logo looks nice. Press box looks nice. Everything really, really cool. So just nice setup over there. But more importantly, besides the fact that the game happened, is that they won the game. Broke a tough losing streak for Saxony. They had lost 4 games in a row. I was like, 4 games is wild to think about. They played some tough competition, some bigger schools, including last week. Nice. A moral victory, if you will, against a Perryville team that is, a lot bigger than them, Class 4 team. However, they've been unable to break the streak. They do knock off Massac County in a way that hasn't necessarily been, or isn't what you think it is, I suppose, for Saxony. You think about Saxony, it's Kai McDowell primarily spreading it out, throwing the ball downfield and him doing a lot, but they dominated on the ground in the ball game, over 250 yards rushing. 4 of their scores came on the ground. Started fast. Tucker Teague, 45-yard touchdown reception. Good to see that young man back healthy. I know he had an injury right before the season. He's a guy that was at Jackson, I believe, previously. I'd seen him whenever he was playing at lower levels there. And a good track athlete also. So good to see him get back out there, got a touchdown to open up the scoring, first touchdown ever there at Bennett Memorial Stadium. It's very, very neat to see. And then Saxony continued the hot start on the ensuing kickoff after that touchdown. Zach Roth returned a fumble for a touchdown. So Saxony doing something that they have been doing is, starting hot, but the question is, can they sustain it all 4 quarters? Massac did get a score back to make it 14-7. However, Saxony pushed that lead out on Alex Burek and Alan Rudd rushing touchdowns. I really like Rudd, only a freshman. He's going to be a guy you're going to see for a lot more years, obviously, in that Crusader program. So I like the opportunity he's been getting, been playing pretty well, especially here closing out the season. Massac did get one back at the very end of the first half to make it 28-14 going into halftime. And that's where, the come to Jesus moment has had to happen for Saxony as of late, right? They've given up leads or have stopped scoring in the second half. They have a 2-score lead. You're sitting there like, well, this is awesome. This is great. But there's part of you in the back of your mind like, are they gonna be able to hold on to this? Can they, keep this team at bay? And they were able to close it out. Started quickly, though, in the second half once again. Kai McDowell, I think, hit Zach Roth for a nice long pass down the sideline and then led to him punching one in for them to go up 3 scores, 35-14. But this is then where the nerves kind of set in, maybe for the team, but especially, I'm sure, for the fan base as well. Massac kind of began clawing back into the game. They get a passing touchdown, another D. Carruthers rushing touchdown to make it a 1-score game. And it's like, oh no, like, are we doing this again? I did come into the game. There's one guy for Massac County that does everything, D. Carruthers. I said slowing him down is going to be the key. Did they slow him down? No, not really, but they did do enough of everything else and scored enough to get the win. Carruthers did finish with 19 carries, 130 rushing yards, 6 catches for 111 receiving yards, 2 total touchdowns. He also had an interception and a tackle for a loss. The kid is a one-man wrecking crew. Only a junior, so if you want to come across the river, come over here. I kid. But then the big moment, the game happened was Massac driving once again. Here it is. You're about to give up this lead, this big lead that you've had all night. And on 4th and 1, going in at the 6-yard line, Saxony got a stop, got a turnover on downs on their own 6, then proceeded to drive 94 yards to put the nail in the coffin. I believe it was another Rudd touchdown to get that victory. Really good to see. Like I said, you want to see this team win, get back, in the win column. It was definitely something I thought that they could do this week against Massac County. Who, like I said, is a decent team. They run really well. They have one kid in Carruthers who is a stud. But this was a game I thought that was winnable, but I thought some other ones were winnable as well for Saxony that they didn't close out. But you're really optimistic seeing them, get a lead, sustain a lead, and not just sit there and let it slip away. They made the big stop when they needed to. And I know Coach Turner very optimistic. I saw a lot of quotes he had about like, hey, the environment, everything was great there for the first night at home. But you saw his team, you saw the proof of concept that you could close out these ball games. You can win. You can get the stop when you need the stop. And they did. And then they went down, like I said, and scored, put the nail in the coffin like you need to do. That's what good teams do. You keep your foot on their throat, finish out the game. And they got a big win. They go into, last week of the season, chance to get to 500. I think there's that's a real opportunity we'll talk about next week here later on. But yeah, super cool. Once again, first ball game at Saxony. I'm a Jackson grad, so it was something maybe that I always took for granted, just having football, having a bunch of sports, things like that. So it's cool seeing another school kind of get that. The community around them, the school around them has, been awesome. The support, the rallying around those kids. They bring a good environment. They, packing out the house. They have a lot of fans showing up to their ball games. They're tailgating, cool stuff like that. So I really like what they're doing over at Saxony. As like I said all season long, I've been really high on them. I'm going to keep being optimistic, keep rooting for those kids. Big win. Very nice win here in this late in the season, getting back in the win column. Then maybe the most impressive victory of the weekend, Cape Central knocks off Lift for Life 17-16. 1-point win for the Tigers at home. It's another team like Saxony, kind of reeling. 3 straight losses. They're in a stretch here. This is 4th out of 4 straight games against good teams, state-ranked teams. They were at St. Dominic, who is, I believe, still an undefeated Class 6 team. They were at Jackson, who is an undefeated Class 6 team. They played Farmington, who is a state-ranked Class 5 team, or has been state-ranked. I think they might still be. And then a state-ranked Live for Life team. So it's been a really, really tough stretch. Cape has had some injuries. They started off with the Keyshawn Boyd injury, obviously. But the offensive line has been banged up. And that's the crux. That's what they lean on, right? Like, they are a run-first team. And I can tell you, spoiler alert, the injuries did not slow down in this ball game. But Cape did come up with the big victory. The notable stats, I suppose: 14 carries, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns for Torrance Murray. He continues a very, very good season. Jathan Spain got in on the action a little bit more this ball game. He had 3 receptions, 32 yards is what SEMO Ball had him credited for. The game, obviously 17-16, not a lot of offense. It was Cape early. Live for Life started with the ball. Joseph Hamlin, who gives a special shout out to Joseph Hamlin, played really, really well. Malachi Johnson had a really, really big game. Those two off the ball were fantastic defensively, tackling, forcing turnovers, getting to the quarterback in Hamlin's case. Those guys were really, really good throughout the ball game. But Cape did not, do anything with that early good field position after the interception. And with a field goal attempt, Joey Charlton unfortunately missed from 39 yards out. But the defense obviously only give up 16 points to a very high-scoring, athletic team. The defense is going to get a lot of praise, and as they should. It's been the defense for years now. I said that early in the season. The offense for Cape Central has, understandably gotten a lot of the notoriety with Zaire Thomas and, the guys they had this past year: Zaire Thomas, Boyd, Pittman, these weapons that they can just give the ball to, and 1,000-yard seasons. A Carr Trophy winner in Thomas. Just a phenomenal threat at receiver, at running back. That was what got the attention. However, the defense is really what was the X factor in making them jump up to that next level, in my opinion. Just, they gave up nothing. It felt like they had every game. They were just giving up one score throughout most of the season. And that defense, once again, is what is having to carry them in a season where, you're breaking in a first-year quarterback, your, stud all-state running back goes down week 1. People got to step up, and you're going to have to lean on that defense. And the defense showing up here in this big-time ball game. They have, Live for Life. Live for Life, by the way, just killed themselves with penalties all ball game. I don't know what the number was. They had to have been penalized for 150 yards, something crazy like that. It was abysmal. For them, they just penalty after penalty after penalty. So they were forced to punt from their own end zone, and due to the pressure by Cape Central and kind of a shank by the punter kicked the ball from the middle of the end zone straight up, and it was landed at the 5-yard line, or just past the 5-yard line, and took a bounce toward the end zone, and a player from Live for Life caught it right at the 5. So that gave Cape unbelievable field position. Torrance Murray able to punch it in. And 2 carries from that spot, make it 7-0 to Cape. Then we kind of go through another, dead zone in the ball game. But the defense for Cape Central standing up once again. Live for Life have a very, very long drive. It ends in a turnover on downs thanks to a fumbled snap, and Cape got to the quarterback, got the sack, got them off the field. Cape unable to do much with it, but a weapon in this ball game was the punt unit for Cape Central. The punter, I think it's Alex Owasco, and then the gunners, the guys getting down there to recover these punts. They punt it after that 3 and out, I believe, down to the 1-yard line, down it there. But Live for Life, like I said, very good offense. They were playing without a lot of players. They had a couple offensive linemen out. They didn't have their star running back as well, like Cape Central. Big kid going to South Dakota State, Javion Scott. I think he's 6'3", 210, something like that. Just humongous kid. But their offense is super explosive, really good quarterback. And they had another long drive. They got all the way into the red zone. But once again, defense bending but not breaking, force a turnover on downs. Cape, after they get it back, they pick up, I believe, 1 first down, forced to punt it again. And then the punt team, in a different way, steps up in an unbelievable manner. Lasco takes the snap at punter, drops the ball, picks it up, kind of maybe just out of panic, picks it up and starts running. And I guess he looked up and realized there's nobody within a half mile of him. It was 4th and 26, and he ran for about 30 yards. He needed to get just short of the 50-yard line. He got to the other side of the 50. Gave Cape really good field position once again. Cape had some moments there where it was a little dicey, nearly. I believe the sequence was they threw a pass deep over the middle, and the corner was running the route for the receiver. The ball goes out of his hands. It's like, whew, all right, let's take it easy here. Let's set up a screen pass. They throw the screen. Defender jumps right in front of it. The defensive lineman jumps in front of the screen, intercepts the ball, tucks it, runs a couple steps, not used to running with the football, big guy, loses it. I think he just knocked the ball off his own leg running. He fumbles it. I believe, I'm not sure who was. I think it was Murray maybe, fell on it. So Cape got a new 1st and 10. They lose 2 yards, but it's now 1st and 10. Wild sequence. They're unable to take advantage, though, from there. Forced to kick another field goal. This time, Joey Charlton steps up, knocks in a 41-yarder. Great weapon, having Charlton. I mean, one of the best kickers in the state of Missouri. Huge leg. I mean, he has the leg for 50-plus. He just hasn't always been able to hit them, but he has the distance from, out there. So huge weapon for them. He hits the field goal, 10-0. However, on the play before the field goal, Aiden McGuire goes down with injury. On the broadcast, it's kind of, you're not really sure. Don't want to speculate too much. They think it might have been, him hitting his head on the turf pretty hard. Could be something like that. Not sure what it is exactly. They also said the backup quarterback, Landon Best, I believe, was out with a concussion as well. So then they turn to the freshman, Josie Seaball, having to check in at quarterback. Or excuse me, it was on that drive, near the end of that drive, McGuire goes down. I think it was on that weird screenplay that got intercepted. I'm sorry, I take that back. It was on that intercepted screen. He got hurt. So not sure exactly what it is, not sure the severity. So we hope the best for him. But Josie comes in. And that takes us pretty much to the second half. I will say Josie Seaball is a kid that I've seen from a young age, how awesome of an athlete he is. I worked at the Sportsplex, like I said, from the time, I've said a few times now, from the time it opened in 2017, that summer, up until my daughter was born at the end of 2022. So I was there for a lot of these kids that are now in high school, a lot of kids that are now freshmen, sophomores, even some of the ones that have already graduated. I saw when they were a little bit older. Josie's one of those kids who was always one of the most athletic kids in every sport he played, soccer, basketball. I think we had him mostly for basketball camps there, Junior Grizzlies, if anybody watching has been a part of that. He was just always one of the most dominant kids because he was the faster than anybody. He could do everything. Anytime you give him a ball, he can be one of the most athletic, one of the most dominant kids, and also really, really good kid back then. So cool seeing him get an opportunity and seeing what he was able to do with it. We get into the second half, and, your quarterback's hurt. You got Josie Seaball in there. You're like, all right, well, thankfully we have really good senior running back here in Torrance Murray. First play of the second half, Torrance Murray goes down with an injury, upper body of some kind. He was holding his arm close to the chest. Maybe it's a shoulder, elbow. I don't know. It could have been his ribs. He was holding like this. Not sure what it was. So he comes out. Cape does drive into Live for Life territory, but it stalls out. However, like I said, big weapon for them, the punt team. They punt it, gets down at the 1 yard line again. However, Live for Life goes on the longest drive I've maybe seen in high school football. It takes up the entire rest of the third quarter. So there were only 2 drives in the entire third quarter. Live for Life has it the entire 53 whenever they took over. 1st and 10 from their own goal line. They have it all the way through the end of that third quarter. And on the first play of the fourth quarter, they punch it in. So I believe in exactly a 7-minute drive, ending with a touchdown. They don't have the kicker. They went for 2, made it 10-8. So Cape holding on there to a narrow lead. Unfortunately, another wonky another wonky type of situation. If I remember correctly, this was Cape Central had it. Another decent drive. They got past the 50. They were in Live for Life territory. It was like they were trying to hard count to get Live for Life off. They hard count. Nothing's happening. It's like, all right, they're about to call a timeout and punt it away. And then they hard count again. The center snaps it over Seaball's head. Live for Life recovers in Cape territory at, I believe, Cape's 40-yard line, give or take. They take advantage. 3 plays later, they score. Just like that, 10-point lead gone. Live for Life now winning 16-10. It's like, yikes. But Cape had a little bit of answer. You thought Jathan Spain, the up man, got the ball, had a nice return over into Live for Life territory, but it gets brought back due to an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. A kid got ejected, and, once again, Cape unable to really do much with it. They understandably, Live for Life selling out for the run with a third strings freshman quarterback in there. Selling out for the run. Mikkel Boyd did a pretty good job in relief of Murray while he was down with injury. But they were, like I said, selling out for the run. They were kind of crushing him around the line of scrimmage pretty consistently. They do kick it deep once again in the Live for Life territory. I believe, once again, Live for Life just kept committing dumb penalty after dumb penalty. A bunch of pre-snap stuff. A lot of, way away from the ball holds or blocks in the back. And it was crazy. They've committed so many penalties. So they're backed up in their own territory. They maybe pick up a first down, and then they throw a ball to the wide side of the field, and Malachi Johnson steps in front, make a nice diving catch going toward the sideline. He stays inbounds, picks it off, and then out of the phone booth in a Superman cape, Torrance Murray shows back up after being gone the entire second half. Comes back in. I think they were at the 19-yard line in 2 plays. He gets in the end zone. Not to, spare any drama, Cape does get a false start on the extra point. So they got to back it up 5 yards. But Joey Charlton, like I said, one of the best kickers, not just in Southeast Missouri, but in the state, nails that extra point to give them a 1-point lead. Limited time. Live for Life backed up after the kickoff. They get up around near midfield, but Cape gets off the field. The defense does, forces a turnover on downs. They're able to kneel it out and get the big victory. So a nice win to break up that losing streak that they were stuck on. A good team. I'm proud of the guys for sticking together, not wilting. Coming into the game, not wilting in the game when they give up that 10-point lead and are down late. They stayed together, kept playing hard, stayed with their identity. They ran the football hard. Got to give it to some of the guys up front. They did a great job on defense, especially. That front 7 for Cape was super, super physical. They got to the quarterback. They made things difficult for him. They stopped up the run pretty well. Obviously, Live for Life got loose some. They have some really, really talented kids. But overall, I think Cape's front 7 won the line of scrimmage battle against a good Live for Life offensive line. Question marks, obviously, out of the game is, hey, what's the severity of the Aiden McGuire injury? Is it going to be him next week? Is it going to be Best? Is it going to be Seaball? I don't know. Like I said, I like Josie. They were a little bit vanilla play calling wise, which is to be expected in some ways. Having to thrust in a freshman quarterback in the end of the first half in a game against a state ranked team. So maybe if it is him, there'll be some more comfort, familiarity. Obviously, he's going to be not playing a team as talented as Live for Life next week. Torrance Murray, hopefully he's 100% because you're hoping maybe Keyshawn Boyd is back soon, but you don't want to have to give him a ton of carries already. So hopefully he's good. Like I said, Mikkel Boyd really good in his in Murray's absence. So I do think they have enough as going forward, at least to end out this regular season. The last game to talk about was a game I was calling on the radio over on 104.7 The Bridge. If you want to check me out. Friday nights, me and Cody are usually on the call. I'll be up there at Festus next week by myself, I believe. So get to listen to me talk like this a lot and ramble. Jackson hosted Miller Career Academy. It was senior night. So shout out to those 18 seniors for the Tigers. I believe it was, or for Jackson, I believe it was the Tigers senior night as well. Shout out to them as well, guys playing their last official home game. Talked about it. Jackson's going to have more home games during the playoffs, and they won this one against Miller Career Academy 65-6. So another just avalanche by Jackson. It was 51-6 at halftime. Nobody put up numbers because, from my estimate, I put an N in estimate. From my estimate, Jackson started with the ball on the Miller Career on average like 35-yard line. I mean, it was over. It felt like from the time it started. Like I said, nobody put up crazy numbers. Drew Parsons had 4 passes in the game. They went for 72 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 34 yards rushing on a nice long scramble. Jory Toma had 2 catches. He had 51 yards. He had a touchdown. Jalen Hampton had a touchdown running. He had only 6 carries, 56 yards. It's pretty spread out evenly. Cody does a great job. He's my savior in these ball games, keeping stats the way he does. Everybody, there was like 15 kids that had a carry or a catch, maybe even more, and nobody I think had more than like 70 yards. So it was very, very spread out. Everybody contributed. Kind of the way it went. Jackson got the ball first. They scored in 2 plays. They had a long pass to Toma. He came down with it, got brought down in the red zone. Evan Turley then caught a pass on the very next play, 2 touchdowns, or 2 plays, touchdown Indians. The unsurprising, or the unexpected, the surprising thing that happened then was Miller Career Academy returned the ensuing kickoff for a touchdown and 90 yards. It's like, well, what happened here? Then everything was just all Jackson after that. Parsons, once again, like I said, just efficient. Every drive was started in Miller Career territory. Miller Career only got across the 50-yard line on offense one time. That drive ended on downs, if I remember correctly. Everything that could go right for Jackson went right. Everything that could go wrong for Miller Career went wrong. Christian Wessel, senior, got in there, ran for a touchdown on the goal line. They put in Nolan Bartles at quarterback, Wessel and at running back. Those guys punched it in. Miller Career Academy had a punt go over their punter's head. They got down at the 5 for the easy score. Evan Turley had a punt return that he brought all the way from around the 50 or maybe a little bit further behind that. He got all the way down to the 2-yard line before he got brought down. Memphis Maddox after a safety. So defense, shouts to defense. I think it was a safety because it was an intentional grounding in the end zone. The quarterback was getting sacked. He just threw it underhanded out of bounds to nobody. So after that, intentional grounding in the end zone for a safety. They kicked it off from the 20. Memphis Maddox caught it, returned it for a touchdown. A lot of people contributing. Like I said, Wyatt Glass, a guy on the second unit for the Indians, he had a really physical touchdown reception somewhere in the 20-yard range. He caught it about the 5, drug a bunch of defenders into the end zone. Gage Parker, Micah Bearden, both guys with nice rushing touchdowns. Gage Parker continues to look really good. He would start and be the best running back on a lot of teams in Southeast Missouri. He just continues to dominate in the opportunities he gets. Also had a very good JV game. Shout out to the JV winning in overtime up there at CBC the other day. So very, very cool for them. Bearden and Parker both got in the end zone. Like I said, Miller Career only crossed the 50-yard line once. The defense gave up nothing. Just another what you expect happened for the Indians. Overmatched opponent. They dominated. There's only so much you can do. The schedule will get tougher next week. They do have a road game up at Festus, who's state ranked, so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But before we get to next week's football action, we're going to talk about everything else that happened in all the other sports across the area this last week. Some of this I mentioned on the previous show, but we'll talk about it anyway. In volleyball, Notre Dame swept Poplar Bluff 3-0. Saxony swept Kennett 3-0, which is notable because those teams might be playing in districts. Farmington, unfortunately, did beat Cape Central 3-0 in a sweep as well on Monday the 13th. Tuesday, Jackson had a doubleheader. At Incarnate Word dropped their second game of the season to Incarnate Word on the road up there. I mean, just not a very good game for them numbers-wise. I didn't watch a ton of it. I saw some of the replay. But they lose that one in a sweep, 3-0 to Incarnate Word. However, they bounce back in the very next game, played Marquette, and sweep Marquette to get that victory. Wednesday of last week, Notre Dame played Cape Central in another game that could be happening again as a rematch in districts. Notre Dame got the sweep over the Tigers there in that one. So Notre Dame, after another local loss to Saxony a couple weeks ago, kind of bouncing back, kind of riding the ship here, it feels like. Then finally, Jackson closed out their regular season with a 3-0 sweep of Eureka. Good suburban St. Louis team. A lot of success for them. So Jackson finishes their regular season as the top dog, kind of in the area, not kind of, very definitively in the area, 34-2. Once again, breaking a school record for wins in a year. Over last year's team to 133, now winning 34 this year. They head into districts as a 1 seed. We will move to, before we move to soccer, as I said, we talked about in the last episode, but we will quickly look at what we have in the district brackets for our local teams here. Jackson, like I said, is the 1 seed in Class 5 District 1. They'll be playing the 23rd against the winner of Melville and Fox. So it's going to be a long road, but I do like where they are positioned. In Class 4, Cape is a 2 seed, Notre Dame is a 3 seed, so they could be matching up in the semifinals. And then in Class 3, District 1, Saxony is the 2 seed there. They'll be playing the winner of Fredericktown and Doniphan. That'll be as the 27th, with the potential rematch maybe of the 1 seed in that district, Kennett. That'll be played at Dexter, so watch out for the Bearcats getting into that championship game potentially. Boys soccer. Still some regular season games left in boys soccer. Last week, Jackson, I think I mentioned it maybe on the last show. I don't know if I did or not. Jackson, no, I don't believe I did. They had a huge win over Oakville. Oakville, one of the very best teams in St. Louis, one of the best teams in the state. A huge win for this program. Jackson is kind of going the right direction here late in the season. It's good to see out of them. Kind of getting back to the form you expect from the Indians. Over at Saxony, they got shut out by Poplar Bluff in a loss. And then a big rivalry game, Notre Dame and Cape Central. Notre Dame does get the victory, 2-0 over the Tigers. Shut out the Tigers for one of the first times this season. The Tigers have had a pretty good year throughout. They do lose a couple of rivalry games here of late. One to Jackson. That game was 2-1, and then this one going Notre Dame's way as well. And then what do we have? End of the week, this past week, Jackson playing a very, very tough game at Saxony. Saxony fought hard. They do come up on the short end of the sticks. Jackson wins 2-1. To win that one, Notre Dame blows out DeSoto 6-2. Cape takes care of business. Shout out to Coach Crafton over there, beating his former team, Poplar Bluff, 3-1. Softball, it's another one. A lot of teams, spoiler alert, are done with their season. Past week, you had Jackson closing out the regular season with the 4-1 win over Kelly. Saxony had a 5-2 win over Poplar Bluff. And then Cape Central, unfortunately, dropped one against St. Pius X, 7-6. We get into district play. We actually had a matchup between two teams here in Cape Girardeau. Notre Dame did blow out Cape Central in the 2-7 matchup, 16-0. That ends Cape's season at 8-20. So nice season for the Tigers overall. They picked up some nice wins. I like the trajectory that they're on. It feels like they're pointed in the right direction, so shout out to those girls. The very next day, you had all three remaining teams in action. Class 3, District 1, Saxony as the 4 seed beat the 5 seed Perryville 5-1. Over in Class 4, now in the semifinals after the win over Cape, Notre Dame's season unfortunately does come to an end at the hands of Hillsborough in a bit of an upset, 9-2 up there. Notre Dame, good year. Picked up a big rivalry win over Jackson this season. They finished the year 23-9-1. So maybe not the way they wanted to go out. I'm sure that was a tough end to the season, but you got to give it to those girls. They played really, really well. Kenna Johnson and a bunch of them performed really admirably throughout the season. Picked up a lot of good wins. Class 5 District 1, 2C Jackson beat Northwest 10-0. And then you fast forward to Monday of this week. I'm recording this Tuesday, October 21st here late at night. Doniphan did knock off Saxony that ended the Crusaders season at 16-7. Really good year for Saxony this season on the softball diamond. Unfortunately, coming to a close at the hand of the 1 seed there, Doniphan. So maybe not a big surprise, but good fight by Saxony throughout the year. And like I said, really good season for them as well. Jackson continued their year on. They beat Kirkwood 9-1 to set up a rematch from earlier this year against the 1 seed Lindbergh. Lindbergh beat Jackson 5-4 at Jackson early this season. And I can now say, I just looked up the score. Jackson did fall to Lindbergh, unfortunately. 5-2 in that one. They end their season at 23-10. Another good year for the Indians. A lot of talent going out the door, unfortunately, for Jackson, but program you expect, like Notre Dame, kind of just reload with talent there in softball. So that closes the book on softball for our local squads, unfortunately. Nobody making it out of districts this season, but a lot of really, really good years, or a lot of really good seasons by all these girls this year. In girls tennis, we were, once again, closing out some seasons for people. Jackson had been defeated against Parkway South, I believe. Saxony got a win in the first round of their district tournament, 5-0 over Fredericktown. They won the first 5 matches and pieced out in that one. Then an upset, unfortunately, occurring for the Notre Dame girls tennis team as well. They lose 5-3 to Festus, a team that they had kind of controlled early in the year. That ends their season, unfortunately, at 12-6-1. But another good year for the Lady Bulldogs as a team. Then Wednesday, Saxony's season also came to an end at the hands of North County, ending their season at 9-7. So a lot of programs, unfortunately, ending their year, but having really good seasons that you can be pretty proud of, and where you've left things at for your school and those future generation of the girls coming up behind you, which is it doesn't end whenever your season ends. It keeps going. So shout out to all those girls. Shout out to their careers ending. If this is your last sport, hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great career. Hope you had a lot of fun. That's what it's all about. Learning different life skills through sports. It's tough to kind of comprehend in the moment, but you look back on it now whenever you're a little bit older like myself and kind of see those lessons that you learned along the way. So we jump now to cross country, where we had the SEMO conference meet. So a big showdown of local squads. It was, hey, can these stars kind of leading the season all year over at Notre Dame continue their dominance? And the answer was yes. On the boys' side, as a team, Jackson won. They had 28, so a lot of high finishers there. Notre Dame was in second at 47. Cape Central comes in 4th place. Individually, top 5 all from Jackson and Notre Dame. First place, as he has been many, many times this year, Aiden Morris. Dominant showing, 15:44 to get first place in the SEMO conference. Aiden Nimbalski from Jackson comes in second at 16:14. Nate Meisner from Jackson in third at 16:56. And at 1/10 of a second behind him was Chase Wendell from Jackson. And finally in 5th place, Jackson Jones of Notre Dame finishes in 17:30 and a half. The best finisher for Cape Central was a 9th grader, actually. Wesley McFerrin comes in 10th place in 18 minutes and 10 seconds. Over on the girls' side, that is where, a very dominant duo from Notre Dame has controlled almost every race they've been in this season, and that repeated itself here. Notre Dame gets the team victory by 4 spots over Jackson, 36-40. Poplar Bluff was 3rd, Cape Central 4th in the girls as well. Individually, it was Lily Coy this time taking home the win here in the SEMO conference. So big showing by her. You hear a lot about Martina Ressel, who came in 2nd place in 18:56. But Coy really put the hammer down, got a big win here at SEMO conference. And that's what you want to see, closing out the year strong, trying to peak at the right time, heading into state. Coy kind of showing like, hey, I might be a person that can compete for a state title. Not just Martina, and those two of the best. I'm sure both very happy for each other. They continue an awesome season. Third place overall was Hallie King from Jackson, another, I believe, ninth grader for the Indians. She comes in third at 21-20. She gave Jackson a top 3 finisher in sixth place. So top 5 finishers for our local teams was in sixth place Hannah Funk from Jackson in 22:03, and in seventh Victoria Avila Henao from Notre Dame in 22:17. Cape's best finisher, really good multi-sport athlete Jamie Dawson-Ide, comes in 15th place. So congrats to her. Also a good basketball player and good 400-meter runner as well. So congrats to all those girls performing well here in the SEMO Conference. These girls have run against each other a lot this year and in their careers, so I'm sure it's always very fun getting together and trying to see where you stack up. Pretty much does it for this past week. A lot of action still kind of closing up these seasons. We can look ahead to this week that we're currently in. Like I said, filming this a little bit later on Tuesday. Part of that, filming back-to-back here. I have a special guest you're going to be seeing later on. We'll see when we put that out. But I have a special guest kind of previewing some of the winter sports, talking basketball, a little bit of a hint there. But sticking with this week, games that we've got going on, games that we will see, games that you probably already know the outcome to at time of recording. 3 football games once again last week of the regular season for Saxony, Cape Central, and Jackson over on the gridiron. So, teams looking to close out strong. Jackson obviously trying to look to finish out an undefeated season. We'll see if they're able to do that. But before we talk about football, we'll jump into volleyball real quick. Volleyball, we had a last regular season game tonight at my time of recording. You'll already know the outcome. It was Portageville beating Saxony down there at Portageville. Saxony's last regular season game, Portageville does win 3-1. And then we get into districts now this week. Like I said, you'll be seeing this maybe as the games are going on a little bit before, hopefully. Wednesday starts a busy slate over there in Class 4. Like I said, Class 4 District 1 is at Cape Central. So if you have that opportunity, I implore you to go check it out. I really am hoping I can get over there to see some of these games Wednesday for the first round, maybe looking ahead for the weekend, a potential Cape County matchup of a couple of teams on the 25th. Like I said, Cape Central is the 2 seed. The 1 seed is Hillsboro. That score is actually already in there. And in a huge upset, this is your live reaction here. DeSoto beat Hillsboro 3-2 at Cape Central. Holy moly. It was 25-17, Hillsboro 27-25, DeSoto. So 1 set apiece. DeSoto took set 3. Hillsboro took set 3, 25-18. DeSoto came back 26-24 to make it all even 2 apiece, and they won 15-11. Wow. That's big. So that opens up that district in a big way. Sorry for this reaction here, but yeah, this is something I just learned about here in the moment. Like I said, recording here on Tuesday night. So Wednesday, as you're hopefully watching this, Cape Central will be taking on Poplar Bluff if they can take care of business on their home court, and if Notre Dame can take care of business over 6-seeded Sykeston, we will be seeing a Cape Central Notre Dame rematch from just a week before that Notre Dame swept. So we'll see if Cape's able to kind of get back there. It's like I said, it's all going to be at Cape Central. So it is local here. Go check out this volleyball, as almost assuredly there will be a team from Cape, either Cape or Notre Dame, in the championship game over there at Class 4 District 1. Now, I mentioned Saxony. Their game will not be until later in the week. They play on the 27th, so they play next Monday. The first round of this tournament is the 23rd on Thursday. You have the 4-seed Dexter playing the 5-seed New Madrid, and then Fredericktown takes on Donovan. The winner of that game will be facing Saxony on the 27th. So best of luck to Saxony. They will be on the road in Dexter. And then, already said it earlier as well, Class 5 District 1, Jackson's the 1 seed. They play Thursday the 23rd against Melville or Fox. That game should be done at the moment, but nothing's been inputted here on Misha. So Jackson, good opportunity to win that game. If they do win on the 23rd, they play again next Monday, the 27th. And then the championship will be Tuesday, the 28th, up in St. Louis at Cor Jesus Academy at 5 p.m. You're making a team come from Jackson to play on a Tuesday at 5 p.m. That is stupid, and I hate it. What are we doing? Have a brain. One time. Oh, my gosh. So annoying. So annoying. Anyway, to Jackson, hopefully can overcome some of the time adversity and get to that championship game, as the semifinal is at 4:30 on a Monday. What are we doing? Not going to get mad. Not going to get mad. Not going to get annoyed. Just kidding. I'm already annoyed. So, a couple of big-time matchups coming up in volleyball. Boys soccer, more regular season left. As you're hopefully seeing this on Wednesday. We'll see. Potentially Thursday. Notre Dame playing Gateway Legacy at home. Cape is hosting Fredericktown. Thursday, busy week for Cape Central, as they're going to be on the road at Perryville. That should be an interesting matchup. Kind of be indicative of where their season's going. Perryville's a tough team. Smaller classification than Cape Central, but very, very good. Saxony is on the road at Bayless, and then Jackson will be closing out the season Friday at Farmington, or I don't know if they'll be closing out the week at Farmington. Cross country, there's one meet going on that I know of. Jackson, I know, is taking part in the Big River Invitational up in Fenton. Should be an early one, might be a little chilly. See how that affects the running. Swimming and diving, rec relays are going on right now, or probably over by now as I'm talking to you. This weekend, Cape Central will be in Springfield for Springfield Invitational. So good luck to them as they go across the state. Another event that is now final, and I have the results for, is the classes, in our case, 3 and 4 state championships for girls golf. Class 1 through 4, all taking place Monday and Tuesday of this week. We have a lot of local representation. So to get us started, Class 3, we had one of our teams qualified there. The only team that qualified is Notre Dame. And as a team, they got 4th in Class 3. So congrats to those ladies. They shot a 750 as a group. I do want to give one shout out to the young lady who came in first place, Annabelle from Poplar Bluff, shot a 147 to win by 12 strokes. So I think she's only a freshman, so good luck to everybody in Southeast Missouri moving forward. She's kind of thrown down the gauntlet as maybe being the big dog here in the region and the state. So shout out to Annabelle. One individual that qualified is from Cape Central, Harper McClard. She shot a 185 to come in 22nd place. So congratulations to Harper. Finished out a great season, breaking records over at Cape Central, getting back to the state tournament again and performing really well. As a team, Notre Dame, like I said, came in 4th place. Their individuals finished as follows. In 7th place, Grayson Maurer shot a 166, so great showing by Grayson. Lucy Barnett in 27th at a 187. Then one spot behind her is Grace Fitzgerald at in 28th place at a 188. And finally, Emmy Gamble in 66th at 209. Gives Bluff that total of 750. So good season by them. Grayson Maurer, one of the best in Southeast Missouri, kind of showing that again, finishing top 10 in state is huge individually. So congrats to those ladies. And in Class 4, Jackson sent 3 individual seniors to the state tournament. The leader of that group was Julia Schlitt, as she has been all season long. She finished in 17th place at a 159. In 27th place was Madison Thrower, 165. And then in 57th place, about middle of the pack, there's around 100 golfers. Ava Moody shot a 179 in 57th place. So shout out to those girls, 3 seniors, getting to play together at state, probably a very cool experience for them. But they'll all be moving on. So a lot of opportunities for girls to take another step over at Jackson. See how they're able to reload at the program that's been really, really at a high level lately. Obviously led by Julia. Julia Schlick going to be playing at the next level down in Georgia, I believe at Columbus State University. So congrats to all three of those girls, as well as everybody from Notre Dame and Cape on their really nice showings over at State. Girls performed really, really well. It's always tough conditions, tough courses over at the state tournaments. So these scores are very, very nice, very impressive for those young ladies. So shout out to them. A lot of careers there coming to a close. I'm sure that's tough, but, represented themselves well, represented the area, represented their school, whether it's Cape, Notre Dame, Jackson, in a really, really good way all season long. So shout out to those girls. Congrats on their season, and congrats on, their careers. A lot of seniors, like I said, moving on. So we can finish with football. We are in the last week of the regular season. We will start with Saxony as they get to play another home game against another team from Illinois. That is Redbud, Illinois. Redbud, a beatable team for sure. If you were Saxony, Redbud comes in 1-7. I will stop fidgeting with this microphone in a minute. This is going to be a game that Saxony should win again. A 1-7 team coming into your home stadium. Redbud averages 16 points a game. They're giving up 40 points a game. Should bode well for Saxony, a high-scoring team. They are pass-heavy, maybe a little bit different than what you're used to seeing if you are the Crusaders. They put it all in the quarterback. Landon Rubush. Landon is 108 for 207, so around 50%. He has over 1,500 passing yards. He has 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. 17 interceptions. He also is a leading ball carrier, 113 carries for 342 yards, 5 touchdowns. Nobody else to speak of at running back really put up any numbers. The receivers to do it for them, 2 guys with 30-plus receptions. Jack Ford has 32 catches, 551 yards. Luke Quinton, 30 catches, 537 yards. Like I said, it's going to be a different look. The DBs are going to be tested. If you're Saxony, the X factor on defense is going to be, like I said, how those kids cover. But also, can your D-line get to the quarterback, make Rubush's life tough? He throws a lot of picks, so maybe try to force those turnovers. Give yourself good field position, and then give the ball to Kai McDowell in that offense. Let him take advantage. Saxony, obviously, like I said, sit at 3-4. Chance to get up to 500. They're scoring 35 points a game. They're giving up 31. So a lot of shootouts this season, but I don't expect this one to be that case. I do think Saxony's going to win. They should win, and they should win by a decent margin. So that's where I'm going to be leaning. That's what I'm going to predict, and that's what I'm going to hope for. So good, best of luck. Saxony, go get a win. The last home game of the regular season. We'll talk about districts here in just a moment. So we've got 2 ball games. Cape Central will be on the road. Jackson will be on the road. Cape Central will be playing at Kennett, an improved Kennett team. A year ago they go 0-10. They rehire former coach Joel Wyatt, who had led them to really high highs, and he's brought them back from 0-10. They're now 4-4. They average 25 points a game. They're giving up 29. They are coming off a big loss to Poplar Bluff. You can't compare everything apples to apples per se, but this should be a win for Cape Central. Obviously, being on the road will just make it tougher. Cape Central does not score a ton of points. They're averaging 22 a game, but the defense does smother people. I kind of expect it to be somewhere in the ilk of maybe the New Madrid game early in the year. Obviously, Cape Central much more experienced. I expect it to be somewhat lower scoring, but I do think Cape is just kind of going to smother them, just kind of sit on them in the ball game, win by 3 scores, 4 scores, but it not be anything crazy. Numbers wise, Cape is 5-3. I mean, there's real question marks coming into the game. Like I said about quarterback, where do they go? Is McGuire healthy? Is Best healthy? Is it Josie Seaball, freshman, getting his first start at the varsity level? To be determined. Anyway, you're going to lean on the run game. Is Torrance Murray 100%? Definitely something to look out for. Mikkel Boyd has done a good job coming in, spelling him at times, and then playing pretty heavy in that Lift for Life game. But then another Boyd, Keyshawn Boyd, is he coming back this week? That's kind of the question on a lot of people's minds. I don't want to speculate one way or the other. I don't have any knowledge one way or the other. You've seen him posting clips on social media potentially, showing himself run, showing him cut on the turf. So it's good to see. My hope or my theory is you work him in this game. You don't overbear him. You give him a pitch count, whatever that number is, 5 carries, 10 carries, keep it something low. Just get him back in there, work him in there, get the feel of, being hit, getting that confidence back after an injury. That's a lot of times the toughest thing for people is finding that confidence after going down to, get back out there, take hits, keep on moving. So he's a big, strong kid, super good athlete, one of the best running backs in their school's history. So I hope to see him get back out there. But like I said, don't try to overdo it. In his first game back, get him out there. Hopefully Cape's able to get the win. I do think they will get a win. Once again, how big of a win will it be? I think it should be a pretty dominant win. I don't know what the final score is going to be per se, but I think Cape should win handily. Get Keyshawn Boyd back in there. If he does get back in there, I'm going to be excited to see, once again, good young kid. I root for him to succeed. I hope he gets some looks at the next level. Get that education paid for. That's the most important thing for him, in my opinion, at the moment. Like I said, don't overdo it. And, hopefully come out with a victory if you're the Tigers, finish the year 6-3 regular season, heading into a district that they have a chance to, maybe come out victorious in, or at least reach that district title game. Finally, Jackson is on the road at Festus. This will be a test. Festus is 7-1. They're number 4 in Class 4. They're coming off of a high-scoring win over Farmington. I want to say it was 41-36. I'm not looking it up right now, but high-scoring offensive game that Farmington led pretty handily at times early in the ball game. Festus fought all the way back. I mean, they're a high-scoring team. They average 38.6 points a game. They only give up 20 points a game. Like I said, number 4 in Class 4. They lost in the state title game a season ago in Class 4. So, I mean, they bring back kids with state champion experience. That is huge. And they put up some numbers offensively. These guys individually have some impressive stats. None more so than the quarterback, Parker Perry. The quarterback, 75% completion percentage, 112 out of 49, 1,837 passing yards, 28 touchdowns to only 1 interception. Wild stat line there. So, I mean, they can put it in the air. They can give it on the ground. Leonte Williams, that's a guy we saw last year. Really, really explosive back, super quick. Hits the hole so fast. Really quick cutter. Really good vision. Going to be tough to slow down. I mean, he has 122 carries, 923 yards, 7 touchdowns on the ground for him. A lot of passing yards. 2 big targets out wide. David Russell with 23 catches, over 570 yards, 7 touchdowns, and Jackson Frank, 21 receptions, 484 yards, 6 touchdowns. So a big-time offense up there for the Festus Tigers. Really good Class 4 team, well coached. Their coach played for Mizzou, spent some time in the NFL. They have a nice home field there, nice stadium, good home field advantage. Shout out to them. Nice press box. Very nice press box. That's the guy who calls games on the radio. Shout out to you, Festus. You do it right. Great press box. But, Jackson has played good teams already this year, right? Jackson is 8-0. They're averaging 52 points a game. They're only giving up 13.6. They are number 4 in Class 6. So this should be a game that I think Jackson wins. It might not be 70-7 like some of these games the last month and a half have been, but it should be a game that they do win. Jackson has had success over Festus regardless of, what Festus has also been doing. A year ago, these two teams played. Jackson at home obviously helps. They rolled over Festus in that one. It was 43-7. The year before, Jackson won 42-14. In the 4 matchups they have all time on Misha, Jackson is 4-0 against Festus. So they're going to continue that streak, but Festus, like I said, good team. They're trying to finish the season strong. They got a nice win over Farmington a week ago, trying to finish with some positive momentum going into the postseason. They're going to be a tough test. Like I said, they have good offense. They're going to challenge Jackson. This might be a game where Jackson starters do have to maybe touch the field in the fourth quarter. We'll find out. But I have no reason to doubt the Indians right now. I mean, they are rolling. They are one of the best teams in the state. I mean, if you go by the rankings, they're the second best team in the eastern half of the state, only behind CBC. I do think it might be a little bit of a test, but I do think Jackson should come up victorious. I mean, the offensive line is dominant. Size, they should have a size advantage up front. Festus, good team though. They'll make things difficult. They always make it a test against the Indians. They push Jackson a little bit more than most teams in the SEMO conference do. But yeah, Festus looking to close out a good season. They're the 1 seed in their district, so they're looking to hold on to that belt. They should regardless, win or lose, but so they're going to be motivated to win. Like I said, this is a team that has consistently beat them, so that's also a big motivating factor as well. So we'll close out looking at some district standings for football. We're 1 game away. I don't know when it will be updated. It might be updated late at night after the games are all over with on Friday. You might have to wait until Saturday. I'm not sure. I know there's teams all over the state that play on Saturday. St. Louis plays a lot on Saturday. So that might be a factor as well. But at the moment, if you are the Indians, you win and you're the 1 seed. All right, they are the 1 seed currently. They're 8-0. They're the only 8-0 team, but they are being followed closely by Northwest High School at 7-1. So if Jackson does drop this game, there's a chance that they would get passed up for that 1 seed. Regardless, I think they win. I think they do get that 1 seed over Northwest. And then we're just going to have to wait and kind of see what sorts out here with the rest of the teams. Like I said, Northwest, 7-1, 41 points for them. But we are about to see them play Oakville. It will be at Northwest. So that will have obviously huge implications because Oakville is technically in 3rd place. They're 6-2. Seckman is 6-2. Or excuse me, well, Seckman has beaten Oakville already this year. So if they are 1 spot apart, Oakville will have the tiebreaker, or excuse me, Seckman will have the tiebreaker and be able to jump Oakville. So at the bottom, undisputably, is going to be Lindbergh. Lindbergh's 2-6 right now. They won't be catching anybody, so they will be the bottom seed of this district. It's kind of a jumbled mess, though. So be on the lookout. Be following these other teams. Seckman closes at Webster Groves, who's an all-right team. They're 3-4. Seckman should win that ball game. So it will come down to maybe that Oakville Northwest game. If Northwest wins, they are the 2 seed. And then Jackson will be playing the winner of Lindbergh and somebody. It could be anybody. It's going to be Lindbergh or Seckman, Lindbergh or Oakville, Lindbergh or Northwest. Who knows? Regardless, Jackson is the heavy favorite in this district. I think they should win. They should roll through to the title game. They should win the title game. And this year it should be at home if they beat Festus, which is really, really nice. I appreciate the people at Seckman. Really nice fans, nice administration. But I'm ready to call a district game, or district championship game at Jackson. It's going to be a little bit warmer because it's definitely going to be inside at Jackson as opposed to being outside at Seckman. It'd be 35 degrees outside. I said I was not going to complain anymore. I might have lied. So we'll look at Saxony's district. Theirs is another one that's a little bit of a jumbled mess. So the Crusaders, 3-4. On the Misha website, they're listed as the number 1 team. They have the most points with their point system. The definite fact is Malden will be the 5th seed. There's 5 teams in the district. Malden is 0-8. Saxony currently sits at 1st, but they are ahead of Charleston. Charleston beat Saxony, so Charleston's over Saxony. Portageville currently sits in 3rd place. Portageville has a win over Charleston. Hayti is in 4th place. Hayti beat Portageville. So, who's going to be what seed? I'll tell you Saturday. This is another one, though. I don't think it's as cut and dry if you are Saxony. Who's going to be the favorite in this district? Who's going to win? Like I said, at this point, anybody could be the 1 seed. Anybody could be the 4 seed. Hayti is 10 points below Saxony. So if Saxony gets a win, that'll definitely help them out a lot in their favor. But the way the tiebreaker situation sorts out is going to be wonky. I have no idea. So hopefully Saxony gets to host a district game, but I cannot guarantee that at this moment. So that's what we'll be rooting for. Saxony, all they can do right now is go take care of business, go beat Redbud, and go beat them big. And then maybe hope, some people lose behind them. Charleston is playing at Sykeston. So if you are a Saxony fan, you need to be a big Sykeston fan this Friday night. Wear your red and black under your navy and gold. And then finally, Cape Central, theirs is a little bit more, cut and dry. Farmington is at the top. They're going to be the 1 seed. Cape Central, who has lost to Farmington, is almost definitely going to be the 2 seed. Then after that, I don't know who you're going to see when you get to district time. You got Webster Groves currently in 3rd, Fox in 4th, Miller Career in 5th, Poplar Bluff in 6th, Melville in 7th place. If you're Cape or Farmington, you feel pretty confident in beating any of those teams. Poplar Bluff gave Cape a run for their money. I think if a mostly healthy Keyshawn Boyd is available, I think that distance between those two teams is a little bit bigger. But Poplar Bluff has picked up a couple of wins. And, playing a little bit better. They're going to hope it's going to be a rivalry game if they see Cape. So they're going to hope to maybe, upset their season. But right now, it's going to be Cape. It's going to be Farmington in that district title game. We'll make predictions when we get a little bit closer. But I think I think that could be a good matchup if we see it again down the road. In that first matchup, Cape just made a lot of mistakes, turnovers, predominantly a lot of fumbles, 3 or 4 fumbles, something like that. They clean that up. If you have a healthy Keyshawn Boyd, don't know how that's going to work one way or the other. But if you have a healthy Keyshawn Boyd, it could be a close ball game, could be a good ball game. I'm excited to see it. However, it will be at Farmington if those two teams match up because Farmington is the 1 seed. So I think that just about does it for me. I don't think I have anything else to talk about much more than that. Like I said, the only ranked team out of our 3 here in Cape County is Jackson. If you want to look around, a little bit at some of the other, districts, things you might want to keep up with. If you're a fan of these local teams, if you're a Jackson fan, you want to take a peek over there at Class 6 District 2. At the moment, it is CBC. They just blew out SLU a week ago. It feels like it's inevitable that CBC is going to come out of that district. They're going to be the 1 seed. And that might be who you're playing. If Jackson is able to get out of their district, could be setting up a home game against CBC, but don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. If you're a Cape Central fan, looking ahead, hey, maybe we can get out of this district as a 2 seed. You might be seeing some familiar names. In District 2, you got Kirkwood is 6-1, Eureka is 6-2, Rockwood Summit is 6-2. So one of those 3 teams I anticipate coming out, probably Kirkwood, as they already have a win over the 2 seed Eureka. Kirkwood, good squad. They lost some guys from the team that beat Jackson a season ago. They have some really, really good players. Jacob Eberhardt, one of the best 2-way guys in the state. So you might have your hands full as well over there. And then, once again, Class 1, I don't know what's going to happen with Saxony. They're trending the right direction. Will they get out of their district? I don't know. Hayti is kind of going on the right track. They were injured early on. Their quarterback is back healthy. That could be a team that wins that district. But if you do get out of your district, it is optimistic that you can beat the team over there in District 2. They're Grandview, Crystal City, Vanfar, Veritas, and Louisiana are the 5 District 2. But we'll get there when we get there. We'll save all that talk for a future show, hopefully, as these teams keep picking up victories. So best of luck to all our local squads. I already said it earlier. Congrats to everybody who's season's already over with, their careers are maybe even over with. It's been a joy watching a lot of these kids play and, improve over the years, seeing them, go from, being underclassmen to being really, really talented seniors. It's always cool. It's always a joy. It's always neat to see, the older you get, the more you kind of appreciate it. And, you look back on your time and you're like, yeah, I remember being a scrawny 14-year-old and, In my case, kind of a scrawny 18-year-old, but, and you just kind of see the development of these guys and girls, and, you root for them. And, I tell you all the time, get out there, go check them out, go check these games out. There's not many left now. If you want to see any more of these fall sports, got just a few chances left. We're in districts in volleyball. Tennis, largely over as well. We got a couple more soccer games left. We've got, we're done. We're done with softball. There's not a lot left to go here as we close out the season for everybody. So go check them out. Appreciate all you guys who do watch and listen. Subscribe to wherever you watch, wherever you listen, whether it's Spotify, Apple, or on Amazon. If you watch us on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I mentioned it a few times. I hinted at it a few times. I do want to say hand up. There's one thing I missed. I thought there was one thing I missed, and there is. Shout out to Caroline Galati and Mary Tyler Cox. They're playing doubles match on the 24th. So they have a big one. They'll be playing a doubles match, try to stay alive. That tournament takes place over 2 days, 24th and 25th. So best of luck to Ms. Galati and Ms. Cox. Apologies. Interruption there. But subscribe on YouTube. Like I said, I hint at it a lot. If you get over 50 subscribers on YouTube, you can live stream stuff. That could be me live streaming stuff, reaction stuff. It could be me live streaming a sporting event once we get into the winter time here or something like that. So, and give commentary, things like that. Things you don't get on a lot of these local streams here for Jackson Sports, for example. So, appreciate it. All of you guys who do watch, all of you who listen. Like I said, I don't do it so that you know who I am. I do all this so you see these kids who put in all the work, put in all the effort. And I appreciate all of you who do go follow up and watch them. And I think shout out to everybody who, compliments. It's always, I do better talking to nobody on camera, I think, a lot more than maybe in person sometimes. But I appreciate all of you who do reach out. It's a lot of fun doing this. So I hope to keep continuing going into winter sports. I hope to get some interviews and maybe some coaches. Might be doing some basketball coaches coming up soon. So thank y'all. Appreciate it. Keep listening, keep watching, keep subscribing, keep liking, interact with me whenever you want. Correct me when I'm wrong. I always appreciate that. I need it. So thank y'all. Appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.